So this question asks, state the degree and the leading coefficient of each polynomial. So just as a refresher, a polynomial is a function that can be written in this form, where you have a variable x that's being multiplied by a number a, which is called the coefficient, and that x is being raised to the power of a positive whole number. And so the degree of a function is the exponent of the greatest power of x. And the numbers written in front of the variable with the largest exponent is what we call the leading coefficient. So here, for 2a, we have y equals 5x fourth minus 3x cubed plus 4. And you can kind of think of this 4 as being multiplied by x to the power of 0, because we know that anything raised to the power of 0 will be 1, and so 4 times x to the power of 0 is the same thing as saying 4 times 1, which just equals 4. So looking at these three terms, we can see that the first term has a variable raised to the power of 4, the second term has a variable raised to the power of 3, and this third term has a variable raised to the power of 0. And out of these three numbers, 4, 3, and 0, 4 is the largest. And so the degree of this polynomial will be 4. And the coefficient of this term is 5, and so the leading coefficient will be 5. Looking at part B, we have negative x plus 2. Again, you can think of this 2 as being multiplied by x to the power of 0, and this x at the beginning can be raised to the power of 1, because anything to the power of 1 is just itself. And so looking at these two exponents, we see that 1 is bigger than 0, so the degree will be 1, and the leading coefficient will be negative 1, because the coefficient of this term is negative 1. Looking at 2c, we have y equals 8x squared. So in this polynomial, we only see one term, and so the degree of this polynomial will just be the exponent of that x. So in this case, the degree will be 2, and the leading coefficient will be 8. Looking at part D, we have y equals negative x cubed over 4 plus 4x minus 3. So again, we already know by now that this 3 can be multiplied by x to the power of 0, and this will always be the lowest, so we can kind of disregard that. So just looking at the first two terms, we see that this term has a variable raised to the power of 3, and this term has a variable raised to the power of 1. Since 3 is bigger than 1, the degree will be 3, and the leading coefficient in this case will be negative 1 over 4, because negative x cubed over 4 can be rewritten as negative 1 over 4 times x to the power of 3. So looking at part E, y equals negative 5. So with this, you can think of this 5 being multiplied by x raised to the power of 0, which means the degree of this polynomial will be 0, and the leading coefficient will be negative 5. And for 2f, we have y equals x squared minus 3x. So here we have x raised to the power of 2 and x raised to the power of 1. Since 2 is bigger than 1, the degree of this polynomial is 2. And the leading coefficient will be the coefficient associated with this variable, which is just 1. So I hope that you found this helpful. Please leave a like and subscribe.